Hello everyone. In this video, we're picking out and sharing the latest topics about Asia. From one of the most famous Reddit-style forums in Japan. Even if you don't understand Japanese, we've translated everything into English subtitles and audio. So you can join the conversation as if you were in Japan. So, let's dive into the discussions happening in Japan. According to economists, China's GDP deflator, which shows the overall trend in prices, is expected to remain negative through 2025. It's been negative for 5 straight quarters. And if this continues, it will mark the longest deflationary period since data started in 1993. Morgan Stanley's chief economist for China cited falling wages, indicating that China is definitely in deflation and possibly entering a second phase.
We're witnessing a historical moment of another Chinese dynasty change. China might reach a breaking point eventually. But with high self-sufficiency in resources, it's proving to be surprisingly resilient. Economic growth bubble burst deflationary stagnation. It's inevitable. They're probably hoping to solve everything with the Belt and Road Initiative. China's economy doesn't get talked about as much anymore. Is it going to just keep shrinking and eventually disappear? It's surprising they haven't issued debt cancellations yet. I mean, it's practically the same as defaulting. In terms of international credit, though. If we're talking international credit issues, isn't it Japan's central bank that's on the verge of default? They're following Japan's footsteps, just on a 100 times larger scale. It's unprecedented. You guys think this is only happening in mainland China? The savings of Chinese people abroad are also dropping fast. They can't make money anymore from reselling to the wealthy in China or inbound tourism. When they stop making money, they'll start resorting to crime. The real estate situation is the worst. It's said there's 300 trillion yen in bad loans. But that's probably an understatement. Don't forget about the high-speed rail situation. It's 2 orders of magnitude worse. Once you're in a deflationary spiral, there's this public backlash against price increases. So companies can't raise profits, even to cover rising wages. And that just means wages stay stagnant. China's done. The future belongs to India now. Nothing will progress until they deal with the bankruptcies. The dumping of cheap products into the global market is something that needs to be stopped. Or it'll have massive negative effects. They're a dictatorship, right? So they can control prices however they want. No problem, right? Even though the economy is cooling. They're still spending money on military and local government bureaucrats' personal wealth. Typical. Isn't China supposed to be a communist country? Maybe it's time to purge the rich and share the wealth equally. Or they might just invade a resource-rich country. Toyota invested more than 5 trillion yen in China. Are they going to collapse? Our company's main email address gets daily messages from Chinese companies asking for business partnerships or price quotes. Investment is flowing into Malaysia, with the idea of creating the Silicon Valley of the East. The textile industry has moved to places like Vietnam and Bangladesh. Bye-bye, China. Sorry to break it to you, but China's economic slowdown can't be stopped. Japan's shift away from China will only accelerate. It's not about whether we're happy or sad, it's just how things are. There's a video on YouTube showing Shanghai before and after the bubble burst. It's really bad. After the bubble burst, it looks like some abandoned corner of Tokyo or something. China should stop people from leaving the country to prevent further outflow of foreign currency. If Chinese consumption slows down, it will be a problem for Japan too. Consumption has already slowed way down, and so far, Japan hasn't been hit too hard. I saw a video of people watching soccer in a sports bar in Shanghai. and the streets were full of closed shops, with hardly any customers. The energy has completely disappeared. Xi Jinping's big urban planning project has failed. The people in charge were just passing the blame. And now it's all such a mess, no one knows what's going on. China needs to collapse already. There might be a global recession for a bit, but in the long term, the world will be better off. Their dumping of overproduced goods is ruining industries everywhere. Oh man, this is looking bad. This could lead to an explosion like a Taiwan or Senkaku Islands conflict in the near future. I don't think they'll actually do that. Or rather, they can't do that. China's fate is sealed now that the West has labeled them the enemy. China's economic power is backfiring on them. Companies took on loans assuming they'd keep growing. And now they can't stay afloat. People got used to living luxuriously, and if they have to go back to how things were, the frustration might spark a revolution. In the end, someone made a ton of money off this. The burden of the bubble will be passed on to future generations who had nothing to do with it, while a handful of officials and the wealthy reap the rewards, leaving the rest of the population to foot the bill. The collapse is happening fast. Japan's decline was more gradual, I think. A newspaper article said you can tell a lot from looking at the wholesale pork price chart. Apparently, it's proof that China is entering deflation. The US, the world's biggest debtor, is in the most danger. China and Japan are still creditor nations despite everything. As long as the dollar remains the world's reserve currency, the US will be fine. It might take China 100 years to recover. Isn't it more accurate to say China's just going back to the way things were? Chinese dynasties tend to rise for 50 years after their founding, then spend 100 years in decline. History is repeating itself.
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.